I'm your host, Harrison Graham. You're watching Chicago Bears Now. And on today's show, I built a 2023 NFL Draft Big Board built for the Chicago Bears, factoring in positional value and needs. For example, quarterback's not included because they're not going to draft a quarterback, at least early, maybe day 3. And then I also left out safety and linebacker. So Brian Branch, for example, isn't on this. A couple of linebackers that would be top 50 guys aren't either because they're just not going to draft those positions early, I don't think. Maybe Brian Branch, but I doubt it. So that's how I did it. Now, in terms of what the Bears' top needs are, offensive tackle, obviously. Got to get someone to pair with Broderick Jones. Edge, defensive tackle, cornerback, and then center. So a lot of trenches. You need another corner. You certainly need defensive line as well. So we're going to attack all of that here as we factor in our big board. Now, we'll start with Will Anderson Jr., and a few of these first guys likely are unavailable at number 9, so unless the Bears just decide to trade up on draft night, which seems unlikely, they're not going to get Will Anderson, but I'll put it this way. If he's sitting there at number 9, he's my top guy. Number 2, Tyree Wilson, edge out of Texas Tech. I think there is a path where he falls to the number 9 pick. It's very unlikely, but I do think there is a small scenario, and if he's there at number 9, I love the value. Jalen Carter. Now, obviously, Jalen Carter is a polarizing prospect. The talent is undeniable. If it was just based on talent, I would have him at least number 2 here, if not number 1. But there are off-field concerns. The Bears have done a lot of homework on him. If they're comfortable with him at number 9, then so am I. I don't know how they feel about him. I haven't been able to do that, face-to-face kind of discussion, talking with him like Ryan Poles and the Bears have. And if they've signed off on it, then I'm cool with it as well. He's a damn good talent and would fill a big need on this defensive line. All right, be the GM for me. If the Bears still had the number 1 pick, who would you draft? The reason I ask it that way is anybody's available at 9 that you want. Will Anderson's there. Would you take him? Would you take Jalen Carter? If the Bears had the choice of any player in this draft, who would you select? Let me know down in the comment section. Number 4 is Paris Johnson Jr., the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. And I want to go ahead and pair in number 5 here, Peter Skoronski. I'm basing this for the most part based on who I think the better players are, but I think tackle is a much bigger need than guard for the Bears. So I went Paris Johnson a little higher. I think Skoronski is more draft ready right now, but I don't know if the Bears view him as a tackle or guard, and I think Paris Johnson will be a better tackle than Peter Skoronski will. Now, I think Skoronski is a better overall player, and if the Bears draft him, I got no problem with that, but I just think Johnson, with his measurables and athleticism as a tackle, is going to make more sense. I think Skoronski will max out as a guard in the NFL. That's why I went Johnson over Skoronski here. At number 6, Christian Gonzalez. Again, you could argue Gonzalez is a little bit better than a guy like Paris Johnson overall, but corner's not quite as big of a need. Again, you got to, go best player available for the most part. It's very close, 4 through about 7 here, so keep that in mind. Devon Witherspoon, you could really go either way with the corners with Christian Gonzalez and Devon Witherspoon. Gonzalez has better size. I think Witherspoon has better ball skills. It's kind of pick your poison there. At number 8, Darnell Wright. He's been a riser in this draft. I'd be okay selecting him at number 9. I'd rather trade down to get him, but fills a major need. I think he's a plug-and-play starter at right tackle. You can't really complain about that. Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I've gone back and forth on whether or not I'd take him at number 9 overall. I certainly wouldn't dislike it. It doesn't fill a top need, but again, you need good players, period. So any of these guys we're talking about, if the Bears get them, I'm going to be happy with it because they need good football players, and JSN, I think, is a guy that can impact the game right away. Bijan Robinson, kind of same deal, right? I get running back isn't a huge kind of position of value in today's NFL, but he's got special ability. You think of a backfield with him and Khalil Herbert, Deonte Foreman, Justin Fields at quarterback. That could be really explosive and exciting. Again, I'd put him more in that category of if you trade down and he's sitting there as the best player, I'd probably do it. Would I do it at number 9? I'd really have to see what the rest of the board looks like, but he's a very good talent. That's why I got him as a top 10 prospect. Now, pick one to draft if you had the choice of 2. Who would you rather have? Simple question. Don't factor anything else. Don't factor in, who's on the board, this and that. These 2 players, who you picking? Type JSN for Jaxon Smith-Njigba or BR for Bijan Robinson. Go ahead and let me know. At number 11, Broderick Jones, who, you could argue he's a tick lower here, but remember the 4 quarterbacks aren't factored in, so if they were, you'd probably have him around 15. He's got the upside to be the best tackle in this draft, though. Athletic traits are off the charts. The tape that is out there is pretty good. He's still just young and maturing, though. So if he reaches his potential, he could be a stud. If not, he might just end up being kind of average, and you certainly want better than average in the first round. Lukas Van Ness, the edge out of Iowa. He's got some 3-tech ability as well. I think he can kick inside on passing downs, being at over 270 pounds. He's kind of just a slightly worse Tyree Wilson. The biggest knock on him was, why didn't he start at Iowa? Now, he played the most snaps among defensive linemen, but they used him as like this heavy rotation defensive line guy. I don't know if that's a him problem or an Iowa problem, but he's certainly a capable pass rusher. Nolan Smith, the edge out of Georgia. I think in a vacuum, you could argue he's a better prospect than Van Ness, but he's 238 pounds. I don't think that really fits the Bears' 4-3 scheme, so I've got him ranked a spot behind Van Ness, but he's certainly very talented, and, in a trade-down scenario, he could be an option. Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback out of Penn State. Again, corner's a need. Again, you get into that trade down scenario. He could be interesting. Very long arms, 6'2" as well. He can press. Biggest knock on him, only 1 pick in college. A guy like Emmanuel Forbes, 14 interceptions for Mississippi State. Myles Murphy, the edge out of Clemson. I think, right around that 20th pick there, 15 to 20 is kind of the sweet spot for him. Freaky athletic, ran a sub 4.5 at 271 pounds. Really good run defender, kind of limited in his pass rush arsenal right now. If he can add to that, I think he could be a very, very good player in the NFL. And again, I think right away he's a good run stopper. Okay, today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics. Listen, when you guys hammer me with super chats and I get hammered, I don't respond well the next day. Well, that has all changed now with Z-Biotics. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. Get 15% off with code chatsports. Their pre-alcoholic probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. So drink Z-Biotics. It comes in that little kind of vial there. Before you go out and drink alcohol, drink responsibly, and then get a good night's sleep, and you're going to be feeling your best tomorrow. I'm going to be needing Z-Biotics throughout the NFL draft. No doubt about that. Give it a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. Use code chatsports for 15% off. That link and promo code are in the description and comments of this video. Take Z-Biotics before you go drink. You're going to be feeling much better the next day. At zbiotics.com/chatsports. Code chatsports. Go ahead and get started today. My 16th prospect, again, not factoring safeties, linebackers, or quarterbacks, Calijah Kancey. He's got short arms. He's kind of a tweener, but his tape is excellent. I think he's just a good football player. I think he'd be a nice player on this defensive line. Deonte Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. I kind of went back and forth on him and my next prospect here, Emmanuel Forbes. I think Forbes has better ball skills, but he's 166 pounds. He's very slender. If he was 180, I think he'd be in the conversation for the best corner in this draft with 14 interceptions, including 6 pick sixes in college. But Banks has better measurables. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. He's my favorite tight end in this class. I think he's the best pure receiving tight end, and I think for the Bears that could be appealing because Cole Kmet's a good blocker. He's a good receiving tight end as well, but to get a guy that can just kind of work the seam, I think would be pretty appealing. Michael Mayer, kind of more in that Cole Kmet realm where he's kind of just an all-around solid tight end. Good receiving weapon, good blocker. He's probably the best well-rounded tight end in this draft. I just like Kincaid a little bit better because of his receiving ability, and I think for the Bears that could play more as well. Who is the best tight end in this draft? Type DK for Dalton Kincaid, MM for Michael Mayer, or DW for Darnell Washington, who we'll talk about in a little bit. Who do you guys think is the best tight end this year? Go ahead and drop an initial below. Number 21 overall player on my Bears draft big board, Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC. Wide receivers 2 through 4 are pretty tight for me after Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, but I think Addison's ability to separate really stands out. Bresee, the defensive tackle out of Clemson, I'm a little lukewarm on him, but it's a big positional need. He's a former 5-star recruit. That kind of status didn't always show up on tape, and when you watch Clemson play, but he's got big-time upside, and he flashed signs of major potential. Quentin Johnston, another receiver here. He's kind of bigger and twitchy at 6'3", 208. He's probably got more bust potential than a guy like Addison, but I think the upside could be higher. Zay Flowers, very similar in the Addison realm. Kind of smaller, quick, really knows how to get open. Some limitations on where you can line him up, but I do like his ability. Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Alabama, he's been getting a lot of hype and praise over the last week or so. He's someone that could go in the first round. I don't think I would draft him in the first round if I was the Bears, but if you end up with an early second-round pick and he's sitting there at 35 or 40 and you just want to go best player available, Gibbs could certainly be that for Chicago. Subscribe to the channel. Don't miss out. We got videos every single day, latest news and rumors coverage. Plus, this week it's Draft Central, so don't miss any of our draft content here on the channel. Hit that sub button. Don't miss any of it. We'll be live Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well, so turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we go live. Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia. He's pretty damn appealing for the Bears, and here's why. I think he's the best blocking tight end in this class, 6'7", 265. He's almost an extra tackle out there. Think about him in the red zone as a red zone target with that big frame, or if you're running read option, QB power, he's lead blocking for Justin Fields on the edge and just blowing corners, safeties, and linebackers off the line of scrimmage. Let's go. Darnell Washington. I like this kid quite a bit. Bijan Ojulari, the edge out of LSU. Some would say he's a tick undersized. He's like 245, 250, but he's an advanced pass rusher. He's got multiple moves, a good spin move. I think he's more advanced as a pass rusher than a guy like Myles Murphy. His size and athletic profile may not be that of Murphy's, but I'm still very interested. I think early day two, I would pull the trigger. Steve Avila, the interior offensive lineman out of TCU. I think he's the best interior lineman in this draft. Center, guard, flexibility. I think he'll play guard in the NFL, but he could kind of be what James Daniels and Cody Whitehair were, where, yeah, they're probably guard, but maybe they're your backup center, or maybe you try him at center as well. He played both spots in college and played them both at a high level. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the edge out of Kansas State. I like him quite a bit. He could sneak into round one. Good pass rush production in the Big 12. I think he'll be a good pass rusher in the NFL also. Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver out of Tennessee, my fifth wide receiver in this draft. Just a burner. You kind of just say, hey, let's go. Deep ball, Jalen Hyatt, go beat the corner. That's kind of his game. I don't know if the Bears would be interested in him as like a guy to draft on day two. But, again, if they were interested in trading a guy like Mooney, maybe bringing in a guy like Jalen Hyatt could make some sense. Go check out our draft coverage on our main channel as well. Again, we'll be live here on Bears Now, but if you want overall draft content, analysis on every draft pick, we're going to have you covered. Tom Downey, one of the best draft experts in the game, going to be leading our coverage over there, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Join us Thursday night starting at 6 o'clock Eastern. Okay, we'll go in chunks of 5 here as we get 31 through 50. Kelee Ringo, the corner out of Georgia. I still like him a bit. He's been sliding down boards. Sounds like he's going to be a day two guy, but 6'2", over 200, ran a sub 4.4. Maybe the ball skills aren't perfect, but I will work with that athletic profile every day of the week. Mazi Smith, my favorite one-tech defensive tackle in this draft out of Michigan. I think he's a great run stopper. Will McDonald, undersized. He's kind of in between Nolan Smith and Bijan Ojulari in terms of his weight, but he's an excellent pass rusher. Big 12 record in sacks in his career. John Michael Schmitz, my favorite center in this draft out of Minnesota. If the Bears ended up with him at the end of day two, I would not be upset whatsoever. DJ Turner, the corner out of Michigan. You could argue him or Ringo. I like Ringo's size a little bit more, but Turner, sub 4.3 guy, has good ball skills. He's only 5'11", 178, though. Can he play outside in the NFL? Maybe, but I think he'd be a good nickel, but Bears have Kyler Gordon. Anton Harrison, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, late round one, early round two. If you kind of missed that first wave of tackles, he could be a guy the Bears are interested in. Luke Musgrave, another tight end here, big upside, had a big Senior Bowl. Like him as a day two tight end. Keon White, some think he'll go round one. He's 24 years old, so he's a little bit older of a prospect, but the Bears need defensive line help, so he could be a guy. Joe Tippmann, who a lot of draft analysts actually have him as their number one center. I think he might need a year, though, to kind of develop a little further in the NFL. I think John Michael Schmitz could start right away, so that's why I lean JMS, but Tippmann's upside is probably a bit higher. Tyreek Stevenson, the corner out of Miami. I love him a lot. I think second round, if he's there at 53, pull the trigger. I think he's a starting caliber outside corner opposite of Jalen Johnson. Who's the better center prospect? Is it John Michael Schmitz or is it Joe Tippmann? Type JMS for John Michael Schmitz, JT for Joe Tippmann. Again, I think the higher ceiling is Tippmann, but I think the guy who can help you quicker would be JMS. You could go either way. You got Cody Whitehair and Lukas Patrick who could hold down the fort this year. So if you want to go for the higher ceiling pick, Tippmann's probably your choice. 41 through 45 here, Osiris Torrance, the guard out of Florida. He's a heavier guard. Do the Bears view him as a scheme fit? Can he get out on those, kind of toss sweeps and pull? I'm not sure. Cody Mosh, is he a tackle? Is he a guard? I don't know. He played mostly tackle in college, but he got work at tackle, guard, and center at the Senior Bowl. Maybe he's one of those. He's a good player. We'll figure out his position later. Josh Downs, the wide receiver out of North Carolina. The reason I just have him a tick lower is if you keep Darnell Mooney, Downs doesn't really fit for you here. But if you were willing to move Mooney, then Downs could be a potential replacement. Cedric Tillman, I like him as an X receiver on day 2 of the NFL draft. If he was draft eligible last year, he would have been a first-round pick. Clark Phillips III, you could argue him a little bit higher, but for the Bears, I got him lower because I think he's strictly nickel in the NFL at 5'9". Great ball skills, tenacity, but I think the Bears are going to keep Kyler Gordon at nickel, so I've got him a little bit lower. Tyler Scott, the receiver out of Cincinnati, converted running back, still learning the position, but he's been moving up draft boards. Matthew Bergeron, what was I going to say? If the Bears don't go tackle in the first round, I think Bergeron in that 53 to 64 range makes a ton of sense. Jervon Dexter Sr., another one-tech defensive lineman out of Florida. Sam Laporta, another tight end here. I would love him in the second round. Dawan Jones, I don't think he's a scheme fit at 370. I don't think he moves well enough. He moves good for his size, but Poles likes his tackles to kind of be 310 to 320. He's 370, man. I don't think Dawan Jones is shedding 50 pounds, so I don't think the Bears will draft him, but he is a good player that could be available in the second or third round. So there you go. My Bears draft big board, kind of factoring in what they typically like, what the Bears need, and then just overall ability, right? Like Will Anderson, if he's there at 9, you take him. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. So A, B, C, D, or F, grade my draft big board. Thought about going up to 100, but that just takes a lot of time. So that's my top 50 here. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what you guys think on my big board. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Bears Now. We're getting closer and closer to the draft. Subscribe. Join us Thursday night for round 1 coverage. You're not going to want to miss any of it here on the channel, so hit that sub button.